So our guest here is Nikita Tanadzhy, the director of the film MOR, or maybe MOR. How do you pronounce it? MOR. Okay, MOR. So because so first, before we go to the title, Nikita, you're the part of official selection in Polish Film Festival in Gdynia, and this is the topic of our meeting today. So from the very beginning, so now we know you say it more, because we cannot talk about the title without spoiling what's going on in a movie. So I'll just say that MOR is a detective comedy story set in an immigration office. Could you tell us where did the idea came from?
Yeah, exactly. The idea came from many places. The first place was that I really wanted to make something different from drama, because I thought that it's exciting to try myself in something that I didn't do before. So it was more like light comedic tone compared to my previous film. And then there was an actor that I found him very funny. So I really wanted to write something with him in mind. And then at that time in my life, I was visiting immigration office a lot. And I started thinking about different situations, but mostly I wanted to talk about this part of life that it's part of life that is very boring. Like usually wouldn't make movies about that because nothing really happens there. So I just wanted to make it in a detective form to make it a bit more exciting, like to make it more drama out of it. And yeah, and then I write a few drafts. I didn't like it, and then some time passed, and then I kind of figured out how to make it as a short film, because I had a lot of problems making it a very big movie, because you have a lot of introduction. You need to a lot of information you need to establish, and it's usually very boring. You need to kind of get into the story quickly and then try to make, as all detectives, usually detective genre is about that you know something or you don't know, and you try to make drama out of like revealing a little bit of information. So yeah, it's a combination of places, but the main one was just to try something different.
Okay, so you said that you wrote a few scripts, or there was kind of idea of the film. So how the actual script differ from what we see on the screen? How many things have you achieved to turn into the film from script?
It's a nice question, because actually it was quite close to the screenplay, but I wrote it in a way that when I was shooting, it was very close to the screenplay, because I written many versions of the screenplay, and the main problem was to how to compactly pack everything in a short film that it doesn't become like very long, and because there's not a lot of a parallel narrative. It's just one story, so how to keep it interesting but not to be too long on the same topic. So
this is all about script and technical issues, but what was the biggest challenge on the set? Which scenes were hard to film and why? Or maybe you guys had some problems on the sets?
Yes, we had problems. First of all, the main problem was COVID, because we were shooting exactly when when there were talks in Poland and in Europe that they want to make a lockdown. And we shot 2 days of the shooting, and then the lockdown happened, and then we had to postpone other 2 days, 3 months later. So that was the main challenge. But shooting wise, the main challenge, I think, was the extras. I never shot so many extras in my life. So it was the first movie that I had. I think I had like 2 days where I had like 18 extras, and then the second day 20. So for me, it was very hard to figure out it, because I assumed that it's much easier, but then when they came all on set, it's kind of, you don't have enough time to talk to everyone, so you need to really think about how they move in the shot, because it seems simple, but it's actually very hard, that they look like natural and not weird, that they look like they're from the same movie, they're not like doing different movements or yeah, that was the hardest, I think. Too many people to direct. Yes.
Okay, but your main character, how was your work with him? Maybe there were some issues. This is pretty hard to direct such a character.
Yeah, and actually that was the most pleasure working with Marek, is because we had no issues whatsoever, because I kind of wrote the part for him. So I just had a lot of joy working with him. Like, we didn't have any issues. I just would, actually, I would encourage him to make issues. Like, I would ask him, we did what we needed. And then I said to him, like, so now we can do a take for you. Just do whatever you want. I think casting is very important.
You said that you wrote this role for him. Did
Yes.
I understood it properly? So you did the casting before you wrote the script.
Exactly.
That's
I
quite
just really,
interesting.
yeah, I just, because he played a small part in my previous movie, in Ticket, and he played a very small part. But when I worked with him, for me, I kind of found very easy to speak to him, and we understand each other well. And I also like how he acts, so I kind of kept him in mind. And then so yeah, and we hang out a lot. So when you're close to someone, then it's easy to say, if I write something, can I ask you, maybe you will be interested? And then he says, yeah, of course. Yeah, and that's how but it's also easier to write if you have someone in mind. It's much easier to write, I think.
And it's good to have some inspirations apart from the cast. What were your inspirations for this film?
Yes.
Were you fascinated about something that influenced your creativity?
Yeah, of course, there's a social aspect of the movie. But I wanted to write it in a way that social aspect, not the main thing, it's kind of on the background. But the social aspect is that, of course, I'm an immigrant, and also I kind of seen a lot of immigrants' lives. And the thing is that this movie is very absurd and sarcastic. But the main thing is that how it's easy to commit like a crime when everybody else around you committing it. So it's actually doesn't depend where you are. It can happen in any country. But this kind of bureaucratic atmosphere, like, it's very easy to forget that numbers and on page it's people, and also yeah, it's just very easy to follow the majority of people.
So you left kind of a message for people after what do you want them to feel after watching your movie?
Hopefully, my main hope that people after movie have discussions about, like, of course, on first level, I always hope that they just like entertained in the way that they want to know what happens next in the movie. But the second thing that I really hope that people do is that they discuss like what they think about it, or was it like clever or stupid, but to discuss this topic of like how immigration, or maybe like how absurd sometimes is the situations, and how absurd laws are in some countries, that you yeah, I think it's that this kind of conversation, that how absurd the system, that you kind of, and if people talk about it, then I think it's a success.
And so the time passed by, and now you're watching your film with a much richer perspective. So is there anything you could change in it? Maybe do something different, or maybe there's a mistake you made and you will never ever do that again in next production?
I think it's more connected to a specific sequence in the film that I think could have been better. Even on writing level, it's the sequence of like this all like I'm not gonna tell a lot, but the sequence with the toilets and bathrooms. I think if we had a better location and a better, like, maybe even sequence, it would be more suspense in the sequence, because I think right now it's a bit too simple. It just tells you what happens, but actually it could have been much better if we had like, I'm not sure if it's location or writing. So it's like both things. It's like if it was written a little bit in a more suspenseful way, I think that's the sequence when I rewatch, I always think, it could have been much better, because right now it's just kind of just give you answer quickly and then jumps to the next sequence. And I think this genre requires kind of like always keeping you like in suspense.
So you learned much from your movie. So why directing? Where did the idea came from that you want to stand your foot in the film industry?
I started out just watching films. I was just like a cinephile. I just was watching a lot of movies. And then I started collecting them, and then I started thinking of doing them. That's why I like directing, because it's like you do a little bit of everything. You do like writing, directing with actors, and it's good because there are so many other people that are better than you, and my job is just to kind of collect them all together. So that's why I like directing, because actually you try to find much better people and then convince them to make a project. Yes.
So this is the thing that you want to do in your life?
Yes, directing. Yeah, writing for me. Yeah, I just like combination of things. That's why I like directing. Like purely writing is not like, it's fun, but at some point it becomes a bit boring to me. Like when you finish, you want to like work with other people, because it's also like a team. So you have feedback constantly with actors, with cinematographer. So I just like this aspect because they make the story better. And on my own, like it would be much worse as a story. So
thank you for your time. Fingers crossed for your movie in Gdynia. So thank you very much, Nikita.
Thank you.